All right, welcome back to POW Gaming Gym Challenge Sunday, number 11. I'm Ryan, I'm here with Abu, and we are about to cast the first top 8 match of Top Cut.
Yep, hi, like you said, my name is Abu. So our first match today is going to be Erik Holmstrom versus Gavin Michaels. Gavin Michaels, a very well-known player, native to SoCal, and also the most recent OCIC champion. So
Yeah, Gavin currently sitting at 5th in the NA championship points standings. Eric's got some under his belt, but he's got a little bit more if he wants to qualify for Worlds. One fun fact about both these players that I learned from reading Gavin Team Report actually is that they did match up in 2014 U.S. Nationals, so we have some two real old heads on us. Erik he's been playing since 11 or 12, so he's got some age on him.
yeah, same thing with Gavin, right? I mean, they're very seasoned players, so we should be in for a very intense set here.
Yeah, we're gonna see a Palafin. I would call this a little bit of balance on Eric's side. He is on the left, and Gavin with the trainer name is using Goldango Rain.
And and this has been Gavin's like bread and butter for like almost the entire year, right? Just going in with the raid. I mean, sometimes he's using Palafin, using a Azumarill here, but he's been always just bringing some type of raid.
Yeah, this is very similar to what he managed to win OCIC with. He's got kind of the main players being Pelipper, Iron Hands, and Mungus. Slot out the Rain Abuser, Fluttermane, how can you go wrong with Fluttermane? And Goldango's a really newer tech that he's managed to make work with the Choice Scarf set, something we didn't really see in the first couple of series, but he manages to get it done with being able to use Trick to navigate out of some tricky matchups. So leads come out, we're going to see a Pelipper and a Goldango for Gavin, Dragonite Palafin for Erik.
Now, it's actually very interesting here, right? Because, I mean, Palafin might want to switch out. It is put under a lot of pressure by the Goldango, but as well as but the Dragonite here also could go for an Outrage, depending on what he thinks Gavin has in the back. Outrage just does a lot of damage coming off. And
yeah, we're going to see a switch into a Mungus, afraid of taking maybe a Thunderbolt, or if he takes a Hurricane, it's going to do even more to a Mungus. Make It Rain will do a little bit of chip to both, not quite getting the Mungus down to its Citrus Berry.
here comes the Hurricane.
Yeah, Hurricane does a lot to Dragonite, a little over 80. That's going to confuse it. No Lumberry on that Dragonite, so Erik will need a little bit of luck to get this Stomping Tantrum off. We all hold our breath and the self-hit. Very unlucky for Erik. He would have been able to get a big Stomping Tantrum off onto that Goldango should that have gone off, but right now Gavin has all the board state because Dragonite's threatened with a knockout by Make It Rain, Amoonguss is threatened by that Hurricane. He might have to use something like a Terra to get out of this situation.
Yeah, I mean, kind of locked into the Stomping Tramp too, if I'm not mistaken. So right now he actually can put the Palafin back in, and he actually go for a Spore, maybe into the Pelipper slot. Obviously can't do it, but
we're gonna see Gavin switch Amoonguss in for the Pelipper, so maybe afraid of something like a Terra normal E-Speed, because otherwise that Hurricane was looking really threatening onto the Amoonguss. And Palafin is gonna switch back in for Erik with the Hero form now activated.
now this actually applies a lot of pressure just because Gavin said in the rain, right? So very big pressure coming off from the Palafin, and here comes the Terra from the Amoonguss.
That's going to be a Terra Water, so he was very likely trying to read the Make It Rain Hurricane, knocking out the Amoonguss, getting rid of that Grass type. However, because Gavin switched in his Amoonguss, it seems he was heads up to this Terra option.
Oh yeah, that Terra Water is actually really smart for the resist too, right? So, and he gets the Citrus Berry proc, which is actually very good for the longevity of Amoonguss, and puts the Spore in.
Unfortunately, because Gavin read that Terra, he'll switch the Amoonguss in and completely neuter the Spore. So, complete board domination for Gavin, because he can even Spore Erik's Amoonguss now, as it lost its Grass typing and therefore Powder immunity.
Yeah, and depending on how the speeds are for these Amoonguss, right? If one is min speed, one is not, then one of the Spores, the Spore might actually go before the Terra Water Amoonguss, right? We'll have to see it in this coming turn right here.
So Iron Hands will be the switch in with help from a Rage Powder to deny maybe a Wave Crash from knocking that thing out. We'll actually see a taunt instead, so that's going to block a future Rage Powder or Spore from Gavin's Amoonguss.
Yeah, and that was actually a really good Rage Powder because this Terra Water Amoonguss is no longer a grass type, it is actually no longer immune to Rage Powder either.
Yeah,
so he redirected that Spore right back into the just immune Amoonguss. Very smart play coming up from Gavin over there.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think that this potential Terra Grass Iron Hands from Gavin is looking super threatening because Palafin can no longer really threaten too much damage on it, and you get the Spore immunity from the Amoonguss. I think he does have a couple ways to hit it in the back with the Chin Pow and the Dragonite, but man, Gavin's position, you gotta feel really good about having that.
Oh yeah, no, because I mean, Gavin managed to get the upper hand in board positioning here. You know, even though he managed to like not burn his Terra, right? So this is because I'm sure he realizes that can't really do much into this Terra Grass Iron Hand though.
We are going to see a Terrastalization here from Gavin. The Terra Grass Iron Hands, as I was thinking, looked good. Gavin seems to agree it looks good, so got those nice flowers on its head now.
Yep, grass looks greener, man. That's for sure.
That's gonna resist a Wave Crash. Does just under half, so that Terra Grass already paying dividends to Gavin.
We're gonna honestly, that still did a lot of damage.
Yeah, that did quite a lot, but the Wild Charge is gonna immediately knock out the Amoonguss thanks to the water. So Gavin really punished Erik for that Terra Water. He really needed to keep the grass typing, I think. But of course, if he took the Hurricane, it wouldn't have gone so well.
Yeah, the Pelipper was putting up a lot of pressure onto the Amoonguss, so it's completely understandable why he did go for that Terra. But in the long run, it did end up biting him a little bit. And now here comes in the Dragonite. No longer confused, and actually I think it is the fastest thing on the field, so he might be able to get a good damage off with that Outrage here.
Yeah, especially he has the option to also click Extreme Speed if he wants to really keep his foot on the gas pedal, but you're right that it is the fastest mon on the board, besides maybe the Palafin. So we'll definitely see some damage come out here for Erik, because it seems like he hasn't been able to do too much yet.
Yeah, and this turn is going to be really important, right? If he does click Outrage, it will depend on who it goes into here. And I was expecting the Rage Powder from here, but that's not the case. So it is going to be probably completely kind of random on who gets hit, maybe.
We'll see actually a double switch for Gavin, so both the Pelipper and Gholdengo will come back in. That makes me think that Gavin has a lot of faith that Iron Hands on the reset will probably be able to take this game.
Oh yeah, for sure, yeah, right. He sacks the Gholdengo to the Wave Crash. Honestly, Wave Crash is probably going to do a lot to the Iron Hand as well, but you know, he's going to reset the fake out pressure here. And let's see what this Outrage goes into Pelipper. Let's see how much it does. Pelipper has decent defense stat.
That's going to bring it all the way down to the Focus Sash, so I almost feel like you might have wanted that to get the knockout just so you can get a Amoonguss and Iron Hands back in immediately. But that is a big knockout for Erik. He's going to even the score of the game up to 3-3.
Yeah, now with the even playing field, but now we have the insane fake out pressure here, and fake out could honestly probably knock out the Dragonite too here. So he's gonna have to either switch or just let it go down and see how much he could do with the Jet Punch on the Pelipper maybe.
Well, because the Dragonite's locked into Outrage, he won't even be able to switch into Chin Pow should he want to. So yeah, if that fake out gets there on damage, the game will become probably back in Gavin's favor. Although Chin Pow in the back against two grass types is a pretty good look. He's actually going to fake out the Palafin, so maybe he thinks his Pelipper is faster than the Dragonite. It is, but it misses a Hurricane.
Aww. Right
into the Dragonite. That would have gotten the knockout. That's some big information for going into Game 2, though, because now we know that Pelipper is faster than Dragonite.
Yeah, and Pelipper not really a fast Pokemon naturally, right? So it's actually very interesting speed calcs over here, but you know, they do sometimes just want to go all offense just in order to get what they outspeed what they can outspeed, and you know, get those really powerful Hurricane.
Yeah, so we're gonna see Erik is locked into Outrage for a third turn. Iron Hand's gonna switch out. That is going to be the Amoonguss in the back. We'll see what Palafin chooses to do here with its turn. Pelipper's gonna protect though, not wanting to get knocked out by a Jet Punch, I assume.
Yeah, and that's actually really good, right? Because even if this Outrage goes into Amoonguss, it can probably withstand it. And also, you know, Pelipper won't have a chance to, yeah, see.
And Erik does get some favorable RNG back. Between the Hurricane Dodge and the Outrage targeting into the Amoonguss, I think the Stomping Tantrum confusion earlier has been made up for. Dragonite is going to confuse itself due to fatigue. But man, there is not much HP remaining on Gavin's team, and he still has the option to protect this Palafin to dodge a fake out, because it is only alive at 2 health, so Xin Pao in the back with Sash is really threatening in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he even wants to just let this Dragon Knight go down, right? Just to get the free switch in Qianpao, but he says no. I wants to save the Dragon Knight for later, and Qianpao gets back in. And also, crucially, Gavin, after this fake out, will not be able to fake out again because he cannot reset it.
Yeah, so Palafin is going to protect. Let's see if Gavin did fake out into that slot. He does not. He calls that into Qianpao. Hurricane, I think, from this range does get the knockout. Let's see. It's going to be close. And it does. That critical hit from the fake out actually may have made the difference. That being said, though, Dragon Knight and Palafin are alive, and this game's pretty much as easy as knocking down 2 dominoes with all the priority and damage you have.
Oh yeah, sure. And since it's not actually like a sucker punch or anything, you don't even have them attack. They just double priority. That's it. I mean, good dodges from on those Hurricanes over there, right? This really nimble Dragon Knight. So yeah, no, just the nimble Dragon Knight getting it done. Good dodge, and that brought Erik back into the game and takes game 1 because of it.
Yeah, so while we could blame luck, I do want to commend Erik's ability to position, because he came in this game in a pretty bad spot. I'd say from the first maybe lead to 5 turns, he was definitely playing on the back foot, especially with that pretty unfortunate Terra Water trying to dodge the Hurricane. Kind of just made the Amoonguss a sucker for all the Spore, Rage Powder, and Wild Charge.
Yeah. Now, of course, I mean, as big as the Hurricane miss was, I mean, yeah, these players, they really both, trying to outposition each other. Erik played really well from behind that, so yeah, we gotta commend that for sure.
I will say, as someone who's also been a big fan of Gavin's Rain team throughout the season, this is kind of the matchup that I personally struggled with the most myself. The Terra Normal Dragonite with the Qianpao is just so much to resist. You do have the faster Goldango and Flutter Mane, but it's just so much damage, and you still have to worry about that other slot, whether it's clicking Rage Powder, whether it's clicking Sucker Punch if it's Qianpao.
Yeah, no, for sure, yeah, because I mean, with all these Flutter Manes potentially going like a lot bulkier, right? Qianpao actually is outspeeding some of them because they're going bulkier, right? So Qianpao is actually a lot more often than not actually is the fastest thing on the field. So it's like, oh well, they're going for the Sucker Punch, or is it just gonna go ahead and Ice Spinner me, right? So you always gotta be attuned to that.
Alright, so leads are going to come out in game number 2. We're going to see, I believe this is the run back for Erik with the Palafin, Dragonite, Gavin also with the run back, Pelipper, Iron Hands.
And now this is based on what we saw last game, right? This is actually a pretty good lead for Gavin, right? And the Palafin not really putting too much pressure on turn 1, right? So you have to switch that out, and we got to see what this Pelipper and Iron Hands are about to do.
So one thing to note is that Erik is running the multi-scale on his Dragonite, so this fake out is going to get the flinch, as Inner Focus is not free to block it, and Hurricane reads into the Amoonguss switch, takes it down into the red. That's about 95% of its health, but it is going to heal back with the Citrus Berry.
Yeah, and that's a huge Hurricane predict there, right? But something's got to take that damage. I know the Palafin would not be comfortable with that, so his only comfortable switch in wasn't there, and hopefully he can also just switch out. But,
so that is going to be Amoonguss going down really early in this game too to a second Hurricane. One thing to note about Erik's team is it just doesn't have a flying resist to begin with, so these Hurricanes are pretty uncontested. Outrage is going to hit into the Pelipper, once again bringing it down to Focus Sash. But that Iron Hands is still looking really threatening. It gets to get one more attack off, and that's going to be a Wild Charge, doing about half.
No, Dragonite's really bulky there, right? They're surviving the Wild Charge and whatnot, right? And that Outrage damage onto the Pelipper is really good, because now it can actually be picked up by a Jet Punch here, right? And since Dragonite's actually faster than this Iron Hands, if he gets a good RNG on the Outrage, he actually could just pick the Iron Hands up with Outrage. But we also do need to be careful of the Terra Gas coming out from its Iron Hands like last game.
So we're going to see a Protect on the Palafin. I think Erik is probably trying to call a Protect from the Pelipper, hoping that he can get an Outrage into the Iron Hands. If it doesn't go into the Iron Hands, it's kind of not so great, but we will see. There is no Protect, so wow, the Hurricane goes into the Dragonite and knocks it out. That is going to be a very bad turn for Erik.
you know, at least he does get to keep the Paladin safe, and you know, as we saw earlier, the Pelipper is faster than Dragon Knight, so you know, it is what it is here, right? But you know, Chien Pao coming back in, not much fake out pressure coming out, and Chien Pao will most likely go first in next exchange here.
Yeah, so one thing to say about the Chien Pao is at least it does kind of threaten the Iron Hands if he should choose to go into the Terra Grass. And he does have all the speed on his side of the board, Erik that is, so some mind games to remain. I do think Erik can take this back though, just because that Palafin and that Chien Pao, they have so much power together.
Oh yeah, for sure, right? So maybe might actually pick the protect on this Pelipper here, right? Or the Pelipper out, because you know, he might either want the rain, or you know, the future hurricanes, or he might just hurricane into one of these slots, right? And that would be a really good read on his part.
We're seeing a lot of animation on Erik's face cam. I don't know if that was frustration or excitement, but he seemed excited or something about this turn. We're going to see the Terra. That, I believe, is the Terra Water on the Palafin, so that's going to be a buff to its water type damage.
Yeah, and in the rain, like, it doesn't really matter if it's resisted. Sometimes this is going to do a lot of damage sometimes, you know?
Yeah, let's see. The Iron Hands will also opt to Terra, unless this is the Pelipper. I shouldn't rule that out, but I think we can make a good guess that it is going to be that Iron Hands. Going into the Terra Grass again. This does make it susceptible to the Ice Spinner, but more importantly, it gives it the resistance to the Wave Crash, which would probably knock it out with the Rain and Terra Boost.
And we saw this Wave Crash do like half last time, right? So, I mean, oh, with that Ice Spinner damage, it totally knocks out here.
Yeah, so the Ice Spinner plus Wave Crash both go into the Iron Hands. No Protect for Gavin, which means a Hurricane will get to go off as it is still Rain. But finally, the Iron Hands has gone down.
Yeah, and I mean, this is big, right? Like you said, he predicted a lot of mind games going on, right? He predicted a Protect, but he actually didn't Protect, so he gets this free Hurricane off, most likely putting Chien Pao to stash. Well, kind of, but I mean, like I said, it's probably going to get it anyway.
You know, something funny I'm noticing is that, judging by that Hurricane damage, I remember, you may remember me commenting that the Fake Out Crit Game 1 did actually get the Hurricane damage there, and it looks like I was correct. 38 health is about exactly what the Fake Out did Game 1.
Oh yeah, no, that's very interesting to see, right? You wouldn't think it would matter based on, like, you know, how you know, frail Chien Pao is, but
we are going to see the Protect will block a Hurricane, so good call there by Erik. And he's going to taunt the Amoonguss, wanting to stop a Spore, which he does, so really good comeback turn by Erik. And now that the rain is gone, these Hurricanes are not accurate. Erik could even play for just hoping for a dodge. I think that's what he's going to go for. We saw him win game 1 on a Hurricane dodge. Let's see if we can get another one. Ice Spinner is just short. It's going to eat the Citrus Berry. Should be in range to die to get knocked out by this Wave Crash, so there is another Pokemon in the back for Gavin, though. I think a Hurricane dodge will steal the game for him, so we'll just have to kind of pray it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, and they've actually went into the Palafin, but most likely did go into Chien Pao here, but he gets a crucial piece into the Amoonguss, but he goes to a Hydro Pump instead.
Yeah, even better accuracy than Hurricane, and that does get the knockout on Chien Pao. It is Palafin against the world right now. I mean, there are some Pokemon on Gavin's team that will get knocked out by couple moves. Goldengo is maybe one of them.
Yeah, and now Erik could actually just kind of freely maybe click Jet Punch here, depending on what he wants to go for, right? Because Goldengo does have Trick, so he might not want to be taking the recoil from the Wave Crash, but we'll see what happens. The Palafin is in pretty good position to actually bring it back.
Yeah, I think Erik does have the opportunity to, if he wants to target the Goldengo with 2 Jet Punches, that should get the knockout, and kind of all he needs is some accuracy to be able to steal this game away. Pelipper out of rain is only 70% or 80% to hit. Jet Punch will go into the Goldengo, does about 70%. Thunderbolt comes out, that's going to take it really low.
And the Hurricane hits.
Yeah. Hurricane hits. He only needed 2 chances to hit one of the 2, and he does find his way onto the Palafin this game. So we are going to game 3.
Interesting to know about the Jet Punch, actually. Maybe the rain going down for Erik was actually a little more, maybe more of a bane for him, because, you know, the Jet Punch might have actually KO'd in the rain there.
Yeah, judging by that damage, it was about 30% short. I'd say rain is about a 30% boost, so that might have gotten there.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe going for the wave crash might have been better there, but I think the Goldengo did actually outspeed the Palafin. So
Yeah,
maybe
thanks to that choice scarf, the recoil plus Thunderbolt damage would have been too much. Anything you want to see either of these players change up going into game 3?
I mean, I think both their leads are very good. I mean, Gavin does have like a little bit of an upper hand on the lead, but I mean, the thing is Palafin's really good in this rain that Gavin's setting up, so you kind of have to get it going, right? As we saw past couple of games, Palafin really was his win condition. So anything that could help him, anything that could help him enable the Palafin a lot more would be good. Maybe I would consider Arcanine some of the times, but since there's just a lot of water types, it's a little hard to try, right? I mean, you could also always intimidate Cycle onto the Iron Hands, but with Pelipper there, it's kind of hard,
Yeah, Pelipper is pretty much almost designed just to beat these cores of Arcanine and Amoonguss defense, so we are looking at Erik hovering the same core so far. Both players are taking some time before they lock in, though, really wanting to clinch this top 8 game and make it into top 4.
Yeah, because I mean, Fluttermane, while it does do a lot of damage, Gavin almost always would bring the Goldengo, so I just don't think Arcanine and Fluttermane are just very good here, right?
Alright, both players have locked in. I saw fist bumps, so I think we got a good game 3 coming. We're going to see the same lead, actually, from Erik, so I probably would have thought maybe keeping Dragonite in the back would be a good way to mix it up, but he's probably got something up his sleeve.
Oh yeah, no, other than the outrages, he's just been like clicking, right? He still has like strong priority, he still has, just decently strong attacks coming off of Choice Band Dragonite, so we can definitely see him just click other moves here.
So because of this lead, I do think Gavin might be looking for an angle to fake out Spore the Dragonite. I feel like you have to take the risk and go for Taunt, just because this Dragonite not having Inner Focus means if you switch the Palafin out, you're really susceptible to that fake out. Erik is hovering the Taunt, so it makes me think he's thinking about that.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, right, about having like moves like that on Palafin, right, is like, you always think the Palafin wants to switch out, but like, it could stay in and do something, but he does decide to lock in the switch out, and he actually clicked that move really fast, so I didn't see it there, but
yeah, Amoonguss is going to come in. Let's see if Gavin, he's going to fake out. Oh, so he was thinking the Spore was going to come out, or the Taunt was going to come out on the Spore, rather. Outrage leaves Amoonguss at about 1% health, but that Citrus Berry will get it nice and healed back up.
Man, Outrage, what a strong move. Something as bulky as Amoonguss barely survives it. He gets the Spore off, unfortunately, but, it did do quite a bit of damage, right? And let's see, Dragonite's a very bulky Pokemon, so maybe it actually can just stall out these sleep turns relatively comfortably.
Yeah, especially with that multi-scale keeping it a little bit protected from the Iron Hands damage. He might be afraid to click Spore against the Iron Hands again, as I think he tried to do that both game 1 and 2. Iron Hands did tear into grass both game 1 and 2 for sure. He might not be willing to risk that. Not willing to give up a turn.
And who knows, right? Maybe if he gets this call correctly, if he ends up like pollen puffing or like instead of sporing or sporing into the Iron Hands or something, right? Because if he spores into the Iron Hands and he doesn't Terra because Gavin wants to save it, that's also a big turn for him, right? So it's kind of like a little mind game here. It's like, oh, does Gavin want to spend it a little early or like maybe save it for like a Goldengo or something like that?
Erik's timer is running all the way down to the last second, and his move is going to get automatically locked in. That's going to be a switch out for the Amoonguss. I can only assume Goldengo comes in as a Spore Immune and a Dragon Resist. Gavin could also opt to Volt Switch and get Amoonguss back in with just some Regenerator health, so let's see if that's what he's going to look for here. That is probably exactly what he's doing. The Volt Switch doesn't have to commit the Terra Grass to dodge the Spore, and he's going to be able to break the multi-scale, importantly.
Oh yeah, so yeah, that was a really good like pivot here, right? Because these two Pokemon can't really apply much pressure because of a guaranteed turn of sleep from Dragonite here, right? So he just gets free healing, gets his Goldengo in pretty safely, and he can just go for like some Make It Rains, None of these resist him.
Yeah, so the Dragonite, while it is still Choice Band locked into Outrage, it does break the 2 to 3 turn lock you get being put to sleep. So if he gets the Wake Up here, this Outrage is going to hit something pretty hard.
Oh yeah, and Iron Hand's coming back out too, right? So not only does he have this insane Goldengo here with the trick actually just to cripple this Amoonguss most likely, he also has the Fake Up pressure.
Yeah, so Amoonguss is going to lose not only its Citrus Berry, it's going to be locked into this Pollen Puff that it clicked. Dragonite gets the Wake Up, so That goes into the Goldango. That's going to do probably about half. That's some pretty big damage.
Crucially, that does proc the Citrus Berry. He just tricked
just
away.
as he gets it.
Yeah. So very, very heads up play by Gavin here, you know, just in case it woke up.
Yeah, so Pollen Puff will do nothing this turn as Dragonite is already at full health. Gavin is kind of back in the same position where Fake Out and just do whatever with Goldango is just hard to punish, really.
Yeah, and Goldango could actually play like other things, right? You know, it has it could switch between Make It Rain, Shadow Ball, and Thunderbolt, right? So it's not necessarily locked into anything. So you know, I mean, there's a lot of options here now.
I don't even dislike the play of Trick again. Just get rid of the Choice Band. Your Goldango will be locked for the rest of the game with the Choice Band, but this Dragonite's kind of the only thing dealing damage to Gavin's team. He's actually just going to switch that out. That's going to be the Azumarill, so we finally see a new Mon. Both players have been using the same 4 Pokemon in every game. Fake Out to get the flinch, no multiscale again, and as Erik is only able to click Pollen Puff, multiscale is brought back.
Yeah, and now since he can't he neither can switch out nor switch his moves with the Outrage, you know, if he hits the Azumarill, kind of sucks, right? But if he doesn't, so he's gotta rely on the 50-50 here.
Yeah, the Fairy typing will kind of give him an ability to take that Outrage. He might not even want to risk it because if that goes into the Azumarill, you lose a lot. We're going to see Pollen Puff again due to the Choice Scarf, and he's really thinking about this other slot.
Oh, and I just realized he's not locked. Oh, yeah, it's because of the sleep, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, any Pokemon on Erik's team is also not going to be able to take a Play Rough too well. Goldango could take, or rather, Palafin could take 1, but that's a lot of damage you got to be cognizant about.
And I think he clicked a defensive Terra on Dragonite here to avoid the... No, he didn't. Okay.
So Outrage does get the correct call. It goes into Goldango. That's some big damage. Going to be in range of the next one.
That was actually a good... that Pollen Puff was really good, right? Put it back into multi-scale range. He was able to survive
actually,
it.
Looks like it's... Oh, the first one was. This one's going to be just out of multi-scale range. So another Play Rough, should he choose to go for that, will get the knockout on Dragonite. But it has put in some major damage.
Funny enough, oh yeah, no, since Mungus is locked, it has to go for Pollen Puff again, right? And, no, he can't switch out with the Outrage going off, so I guess he has to just hope he hits the Goldango again.
Yeah, another 50-50, but he's gotten pretty fortunate so far. We'll see. He's forced to go for it, so there's really no choice. He doesn't opt to Pollen Puff himself, knowing that the Azumarill will get the knockout this turn. Should it go for it? Make It Rain does a ton of damage to both, bringing them both under half.
Oh.
And another Outrage hits correctly. That's gotta feel bad if you're Gavin.
Yeah, I mean, Gavin, Outrage hitting into the same slot twice, you know, even though it's resisted, Goldango's not, you know, not the bulkiest Pokemon unless you, like, really build it like that.
Oh, and he gets a dodge on the Play Rough, so a little Pollen Puff damage on Azu. Maybe it adds up later in the game. But the bigger thing is that this Dragonite could Outrage into the other slot again. We'll see Iron Hands come out, so it's probably going to be the Fake Out.
Yeah, now it is confused here, so there's a lot of RNG that has to go in his favor. So maybe he actually opts to switch it out here. Maybe he does have the big boy Palafin in the back, so you know that could definitely do some work. But against Azumarill, it's a little tough, right?
Yeah, I think I actually just like the Pollen Puff into Azumarill. Try to get that little extra damage to put it in range of a Wave Crash, maybe. Fake Out onto the Dragonite. I think Liquidation might just be in range to get the knockout, but if he'll go for Play Rough, no hit, so no worries there.
Yeah, no, surprised he went for it again, honestly, after that miss, right? Maybe Liquidation was enough to KO, but, you know, again, like I said, Dragonite's really bulky, so I think he just didn't want to risk it with the damage there.
Yeah, Pollen Puff takes Azu a little lower. This is going to be a 3v3 game. Gavin's still having the Amoonguss in the back, as Erik having his Palafin and Chin Pao both at full health. Chin Pao will be the switch of choice, which is a little interesting to me, as both the Pokemon on Gavin's side do actually threaten a knockout on this thing.
And crucially, I don't think anyone's burned a Terra here, so you know, you could always maybe like Terra Ghost this Chin Pao, if it is Terra Ghost here, right?
It is going to be Terra Ghost,
yeah.
Yes, so that is a decent idea. It also denies Iron Hands from any Drain Punch healing. It'll only be able to attack with Wild Charge or Volt Switch. So that might be what Erik is looking to do. Maybe Gavin's going to even forget about the Terra Ghost and throw a fighting attack into it.
Yeah, no, I mean, because that generally is the safe play, right? It depends on if Gavin thinks, you know, if the risk to reward ratio is like, oh, you know, maybe if I Drain Punch here, I'm not going to take like as much if I do sit, but you know, Erik goes for the safe play and the protect here.
So Chin Pao is going to protect. Wild Charge hits into the Amoonguss. I think Gavin was trying to call a greedy Palafin switch. Eric's going to laugh about that one. And Liquidation into the Chin Pao is going to brick due to the protect.
Oh no, you know, he gets more Pollen Puff chip out here, and you know, even though it's not doing an insane amount of damage, you know, chip is chip.
Yeah,
so,
I think that's Wave Crash range, to be completely honest.
Oh yeah, no, it's Palafin. It's definitely probably Wave Crash range here. You know, let's see what this Chien Pao wants to do. You know, it can't really hit any of these like insanely hard, right? So it's gonna be a little rough here.
Yeah, for sure. I think Gavin's kind of free to just make the same play that he made the first turn. Erik's covering the Terra, though.
Yeah, no, so this could be big, right? Because if Erik Terra's here and managed to like dodge a drain punch, he could get like really good chip here. And you know, with Palafin being really bulky, right? You know, it could probably just like clean up with jet punches, you know. So every bit of chip matters here.
Yeah, it's going to be tough with the Amoonguss still alive and almost, I think, about half health in the back after that regenerator. Ice Spinner is going to hit into the Iron Hands, though, does just under half. And Wild Charge is going to do a lot to this Chien Pao. Down about 100 health.
Yeah, so he does read into that Terra Ghost there. You know, the Wild Charge liquidation there was generally a safe play there, right? Because the Amoonguss being locked into Pollen Puff, all it could really do is just, you know, just chip away at these guys. And he actually Pollen Puffed into Chien Pao, which kind of sucks, right? But
so I do think the Iron Hands, barring a Terra here, actually might be in range of a Wave Crash still. That is just a big call for Erik, though. He might want to protect if he thinks the Terra Grass is going to come out.
Yeah, and it's very interesting, right? Like, maybe if the Terra Grass like does come out, maybe Pollen Puffs into the Iron Hands thinking it might come out, right? And then just protects Palafin. Then you could actually follow up with any Wave Crashes, or you can just do it now.
So there's going to be the Terra Grass. That is probably going to allow Gavin to take the Wave Crash. We'll have to see. Maybe a critical hit could steal away the game.
Originally, he did double up into it, right? So I mean, I'm sure it'll be enough, but it all depends on how much damage this Azumarill is probably going to do with Play Rough, right?
There is the Wave Crash. Is it going to be enough? It's going to be not honestly that close. And between the Azumarill and the Amoonguss still in the back, he's actually going to Volt Switch into that Amoonguss as we speak of it. So I think this Azumarill is still free to take a knockout, though, just kind of uncontested here.
Oh yeah, no, for sure, right? I mean, Amoonguss can't switch out and can't really do much. And man, this Amoonguss back to full. I don't know what this Palafin could do here, barring like maybe a bunch of crits, but even then, you know, they'll probably take a lot of damage from this Wave Crash.
Yeah, so the Liquidation does finally take out the Amoonguss, puts it out of its misery, and Palafin is in a very uphill 1v3 now. Between the Grass-type Amoonguss, Grass-type Hands, and the Water-type Azumarill, I don't know. He'll probably need some luck to get through this one.
I mean, maybe even luck may not be enough, but he does get the taunt off, so you know, no spores, no nothing, right? Let's see how much this Play Rough does.
That's going to take it really low. That might even just be Pollen Puff range, to be honest. Let's see. He does try to spore, though, so good start for Erik, I suppose.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess all he could really do here is maybe, like, just get punch, right, into the Azumarill, hope for a crit or something, and then hope maybe,
and the protect. Honestly, that's almost just a flex protect, just saying, you know, I soul read you. And he's probably going to get the knockout here with the Pollen Puff damage. We're going to find out in about 2 seconds.
Yeah. Normally you'd probably just like Aqua Jet Pollen Puff, right? But you know, he just wanted to preserve the 3-0.
Yeah, so we do see the fist bump. That is the end of the series. Really close series between Erik Holmstrom and Gavin Michaels. I really have to commend that choice to bring Azumarill and drop the Pelipper. I think it paid dividends. Having the option to brick the Outrage, throw immediate damage into the Dragonite, and then that whole endgame, it was always putting pressure on kind of all of Erik's team as he tricked it into the Amoonguss into a Pollen Puff. As he just got to sit there, Pollen Puff does not do damage.
Yeah, exactly, right. And also, like I was saying earlier, you know how the rain was actually benefiting the Palafin more than the rest of Gavin's team, right? So maybe he also realized that, and also I think he realized also just the outrage immunity is really good as well. So you know, both factors realizing, you know, Azum rolls the play. You know, I don't benefit my opponent, and you know, I have an immunity against this really strong outrage coming out, right?
Yeah, so that is going to conclude one of our top 8 matches. Gavin Michaels advancing to top 4. Erik will unfortunately be knocked out. We will get back to you guys very shortly with top 4. We're going to cut the stream there for a few minutes and see you guys soon.
Yep, see you guys.
Short ad break and then we'll be back. So hope you guys enjoy those ads.